So we're thrilled to be here today with Vicky from Happy Dogs and Cats. Vicky is a dog trainer and behaviourist. She has volunteered at Battersea Dogs and Cats Home, and we're here today talking to her about dog body language. Lots of people have dogs now, and obviously with the summer holidays coming up, our children will probably be meeting a lot more dogs out in the park, spending more time with dogs at home, which obviously they have been doing as well during lockdown. Uh, so thanks for joining us today, Vicky.
You're very welcome.
What dog body language signs can we look out for to suggest that a dog's uncomfortable in a situation?
Dogs are generally really peaceable creatures, and when they start to get uncomfortable or conflicted in a situation, they start to show really subtle signs. And because they're so subtle, we often miss them. And some of the examples of these subtle signs are lip licking of when they've not just eaten something, yawning when they're not tired, looking away, and having a really closed mouth. Sometimes they can be looking away and you'll just see the whites of their eye, and that's called whale eye. Or their brows can furrow. Obviously, it depends on the breed, because some breeds have naturally furrowed brows.
Yeah.
And then the ears go back and become stiff. And then if they start to become a bit more conflicted, if the situation doesn't change, then they might, or at the same time, obviously there's no dogs. Each dog will exhibit different signs, but often these are the really quiet signs. Or they'll lift a paw and say, and there's so other body languages are actually moving away, or the hackles rise up on their fur and on their back. They might go forward or back, either way, depending on how they are, on their confidence levels, or they might make themselves look very small. Sometimes their tail will be tucked or very stiff. Or they might have a sudden need to scratch. All of a sudden they're just very itchy. And sometimes they'll lie down with their leg up. So all of these signs are good signs to be aware of, to think, what's going on in this context? What's happening? And why is my dog responding in this way?
Yeah.
And then if the situation continues or escalates, or the scary threat continues to come closer, or situations like that, then they may begin to actually move away and then to growl, bark, growl, and then snap. And then if nothing has happened to help them out of the situation, and if they've had a repetition of the scenario, at the end resort, then they might bite. So dogs don't really want to bite, but sometimes they do, because all of these quiet signals which are developing along the way haven't been paid attention to, because they are so subtle.
Yeah. It's like the whispers that they're saying rather than turning into shouts.
Exactly. And also when a dog growls, it's a really good thing. And it's a good thing to thank your dog for growling and not going straight to a bite, because when he's growling, he's saying, I'm really uncomfortable, please help me.
Yeah.
You need to change the environment to either remove him or remove what's going on in his or her environment.
Yeah. So for people with children, what would you recommend in terms of setting up a safe space for the dog, and times when the children shouldn't approach a dog?
If you're thinking of a home environment, it's often good to teach the dog to be separate, or the child to be separate from the dog. If the parent isn't there to actively supervise, Jen Schreier from Family Paws talks about different types of supervision. One of these is just passive, on your phone or out of the room. And then there's reactive. Something happens, the dog growls, and then you jump in. Or there's proactive, actually setting up the situation so the child and the dog are both doing something separate from each other. They can be in the same room. Sometimes, if the parent is there supervising, then the parent can be in between, or there can actually be a physical barrier in the room. So depending on the context, if the parent is actively supervising, the child can be busy doing their thing, reading, playing a game, and the dog can be doing their thing as well. So giving the dog space, teaching children that when they're eating, resting, chewing, to move away, to give them space, and to also maybe imagine an invisible line around their bed, so never to approach them in their bed, and for children to learn boundaries, and then to also teach dogs to to go to relax in their beds, and that it's a safe place, and they'll can always be safe there. So and also with interactions with children, getting them to stop, let the dog come to them as opposed to them going into the dog space.
Yeah.
Yeah, the family dog have a nice little song with children. Pat, pet, pause. So you pat your leg, get the dog to come to you, offer them one pet, one stroke, maybe on their chest, and then pause. And what does the dog do? Does he lean in for more? Then you can offer one more pet. Or does he move away? Then that's saying thanks, but no thanks, not at this point.
Yeah, about respecting the interaction.
Yeah.
Just to go back to what you said about safety.
Yes.
I heard something that I really liked by Grisha Stewart, and she was saying if we're explaining to our children not to do something to a dog, rather than saying the dog doesn't like it when you do that, say the dog doesn't feel safe.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Hopefully understand and respect that more, rather than them saying, oh, I don't like eating my Brussels sprouts, but I still have to.
Exactly.
The dog doesn't feel safe.
Exactly. Yeah, that might resonate with them more. Yeah. And it is all about the dogs needing to feel safe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you touched on it there with the three forms of the patting your leg and waiting to see whether the dog wants to interact with you, the consent petting.
Yeah.
Have you got any other tips for meeting an unknown dog for the first time? Any body language tips that we can do? So obviously one of them is not rushing in and putting our hand down
exactly.
on
Yeah, because swooping over is really threatening, and staring. Ask the child not to stare, because often children can be the same height as a dog, and their big eyes and staring eyes are really freaky for a dog. So going a bit small, turning away, and letting the dog approach you. You don't need to reach out a hand, because dogs can smell our whole body. So letting them come up to us always, and just being quite small and respectful, not going into their space, and dogs. So that can be like a safe. You're creating a safe environment, but also dogs. Sometimes they come to sniff us, not because they want to be touched, but because they just want to gather information. So that can be a mistake that often people say, "Oh, he came up to me, and I touched him, and then he growled." Well, that could be because he was just coming to get information. What does this new person smell like? What have they just eaten? And what's their health like? They can smell so much that we have no clue about.
Yeah.
And so often they're coming, or sometimes they just want to be close to a person, but not to be touched again. Because as primates, we have this need to touch. We want to hug and squeeze. And dogs, if you look at them, they crave company, and they'll spend all their time hanging out with each other, but they're not kind of stroking each other all the time. They might sleep in a heap, so they like the proximity and the company. But obviously each dog is individual. Some will like touch more than others. Some might just want the proximity.
Yeah. So for people with new puppies, obviously it's important to get dogs used to handling, because they will be handled by vets or groomers if they've got a long coat.
Absolutely.
Have you got any tips for handling new puppies, to get them used to handling?
The ideal thing is to introduce it to puppies, all the handling that they will need to have, as you say, as a groomer or a vet, but in little doses that are positive experiences for the puppy. So even like one stroke with the back of your hand, and then you stop and you can give a treat. and or look in the ear just once. Thank you, and here's a treat. So the puppy, so it's not invasive, but it's gently introducing to the puppy what they'll have to encounter in real life, and as the puppy grows to start to experience that these aren't bad experiences, and they can be followed by a treat sometimes. Then the puppy will be more tolerant and maybe even enjoy handling in the future. But so little experiences, even like 1 or 2 touches, and stop, and then try, and then again later. Just introduce them to the concept that of being touched and handled, but very gently.
Yeah, maybe after a nice walk when they're relaxed.
Yes. If they've had a nice sniffing walk. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. All right, thank you so much, Vicky.
You're very welcome.
If anybody's got any questions, can they contact you?
Yes, please do. You can contact me through my website, happydogsandcats.co.uk. And yeah, I'm also a family pause parent educator, so I do help parents with children.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vicky.
You're very welcome.